These are my most memorable reads of 2025. Grab a coffee and let's chat. Hi, I'm Stephanie. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking to you about some of the books that stood out to me the most throughout 2025. These will all be clean and closed-door Christian fiction books. The first one is The House on Foster Hill by Jaime Jo Wright. I'm just going to read the blurb to you. Kane Prescott is no stranger to death. When her husband died 2 years ago, her pleas for further investigation into his suspicious death fell on deaf ears. In desperate need of a fresh start, Kane purchases an old house sight unseen in her grandfather's Wisconsin hometown. But one look at the eerie, abandoned house immediately leaves her questioning her rash decision. And when the house's dark history comes back with a vengeance, Kane is forced to face the terrifying realization that she has nowhere left to hide. A century earlier, the house on Foster Hill holds nothing but painful memories for Ivy Thorpe. When an unidentified woman is found dead on the property, Ivy is compelled to discover her identity. Ivy's search leads her into dangerous waters, and even as she works together with a man from her past, can she unravel the mystery before any other lives, including her own, are lost? I had trouble putting this one down. This was my first book by Jaime Jo Wright, and it definitely did not disappoint me. Imagine a book with like spooky haunted house vibes, but also with a completely realistic explanation for all of that and some Christian themes woven in. This is a dual timeline book with part of it set in the modern day and part of it set in 1906, and both plots are kind of woven together by the end, which I thought was really cool. I don't read a lot of historical fiction, so it was really interesting to me to pick this one up and find out that I actually kind of enjoyed the historical timeline as well as the modern one. Each of the female main characters has their own romantic subplot woven in as well, but the focus really is on the women themselves. I would say it's very light in the romance department. There are also some pretty dark themes in this book, but they are contrasted with light and finding hope in Jesus. Some of those lessons are about death and loss, but contrasted with the hope of heaven and the ability to find beauty even in darkness. If you are a sensitive reader, I would suggest checking some content warnings for this one because there are definitely parts of it that I was personally not expecting. I was fine with it, but I could see how some audiences might not want to read a few key scenes in this book. So if you are a sensitive reader, I would definitely check that out ahead of time. Next up is Prowl by Colleen Coble, and this one I had to put on here because it was my first ever ARC read, and I've been reading Colleen Coble books since I was in high school, I think, so it was really cool to be part of a launch team for an author that I've been reading for so long. So I did actually get an advanced copy of the physical book, but I didn't realize I was going to get one because in my understanding I was going to get a digital copy only. So I ended up reading the whole thing on my Kindle, and then I got the physical copy in the mail. So I do have the physical copy of that, but it's currently packed away because we're in the middle of like a renovation project, so I didn't have it to like actually show the camera. Hey, buddy. Also, this week I got a bookmark and a signed sticker from Colleen Coble that I can put inside of that book. I'll put a picture of that up here in the video. So here's the blurb for Prowl. When a worker at the sanctuary is discovered dead in the tiger enclosure, authorities assume the big cat killed her. But when the autopsy shows she was killed by a lethal dose of anesthetic delivered by a tranquilizer gun, suspicion falls on Blake Lawson, co-owner of the sanctuary. Blake has his hands full trying to clear his name as well as get the sanctuary finances back in the black. When a soil test turns up traces of rare earth, he's even more puzzled. Is someone trying to run them out of business to get to whatever is under the ground? Meanwhile, wildlife veterinarian Paradise Alden is determined to find the brother she only recently learned even existed. When the results of the DNA test she ran mysteriously disappear from her portal before she can read them, she realizes someone must not want her to know the truth. A break-in at her new apartment is alarming, but she tries to pass it off as someone trying to scare her away. She refuses to turn tail and run when she is desperate for answers. For Blake, the only solid ground is his relationship with Paradise, and he longs to propose. But how can they even think about starting a life together with so many forces working against them? So basically, the main characters are trying to investigate this murder, and there is also the possibility that they're going to lose their beloved animal sanctuary in the process due to all the financial issues they're having. Paradise and Blake actually end up having some conflict in their relationship, which I actually kind of enjoyed reading about because sometimes it does seem like in these romantic suspense books, The romance just like happens and there's no conflict. So I did enjoy seeing a little bit of confusion between them. This book has a lot of fun animal stuff in it, some cute cuddly kittens in addition to all the other animals at the sanctuary. There are also some Phantom of the Opera references thrown in, so that was a fun little thing for me. I especially like the themes of faith over fear and also the idea of trusting God even through really difficult situations. One of my favorite quotes from Prowl is, "If we let fear control us, we miss out on the day-to-day things that make life rich and beautiful." Note that this is book 2 of a series, so make sure you read Ambush first if you're planning to read Prowl. The last book that I'm going to talk about today is Crisscross by C.C. Warrens, and the blurb says, "Safety is just an illusion shattered by the whisper of footsteps in the darkness behind her." Holly has drifted from one place to the next for as long as she can remember, never settling long enough to build a life. It's the only way she knows how to survive in a world that has no place for someone like her. But when mysterious footsteps follow her home and she finds a cryptic note taped to her door, she realizes she's stayed too long. The man she's hiding from has found her. But how? When people start dying and old, forgotten memories begin to surface, Holly finds herself wrapped up in a terrifying mystery with God, a pushy southern detective, and a killer with one thing on his mind: her. I love this book, okay? I could not put it down. The suspense was nerve-wracking. There was a serial killer, and it was so good. So the main character, Holly, basically has no memories from before she was 10 years old. And all of her memories are super, super blurry, but they start coming back as things start happening in the book. So you're kind of rediscovering Holly's memories with her. And she's working with a detective named Detective Marks, who is this older Southern guy. At first I thought, like, I hope this isn't going to be like a romantic thing because he seemed quite a bit older than her, and it ends up he's actually more of like a father figure to her throughout the book, which was really cool to read. I guess I was expecting kind of like a traditional romantic suspense book, but it was a little bit different because there really wasn't any actual romance with Holly, just more of this like father-daughter relationship with Detective Marks. This book is pretty intense, I would say, for Christian fiction, and it has some darker themes as well, so I would check content warnings on this one if you are a sensitive reader. There's some humor in there that helps break up the intensity, and also some Christian themes are still in there. In fact, one of my favorite quotes from this one is, "If you're gonna hold God accountable for the bad things, you should hold him accountable for the good things too. There's a lot more good than bad, but if all you do is pile the bad at his feet, you'll never be able to see past it to the good things." So those are my main 3 I wanted to talk about, but I do want to just do a little honorable mention of Lifelight by Lynette Eason. It was also a really good book, probably one of my favorites I read this year. There is a really unique personality serial killer in it, and it was pretty memorable to me as well, so I had to include that one. I also just finished an ARC read that I kind of wanted to talk about, but it technically doesn't release till next year, so I'll probably make a different video about that one later on, but it was really good. Have you read any of these books that I've talked about today? If so, let me know in the comments, and let me know some of your most memorable reads this year. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.